Hello! This blog post is about the shopping experience here in Spain. I have been eating out at tons of wonderful restaurants, but I thought it was about time that I actually put my new iPad to work and worked on some new recipes here. So I signed up for a cooking class, one, which is coming up, but to do some home cooking today, I just picked a recipe and decided to go to the store and see if I could find all the ingredients that were in that recipe. I ended up picking something pretty simple, just a salmon fillet with spinach and cream cheese and goat cheese kind of rolled in the middle with a side of vegetables in a glaze. So pretty simple, but wanted to try something new. So in any case, I didn't realize how hard it actually is to shop in another language. You take for granted that you can speak the language and you know what the word is for breadcrumbs or fillet or even the amount of something you want. When you ask at the counter and they say, well, how big of a slice do you want or how much meat do you want? I'm sitting there trying to convert it in my head to understand how much I'm actually asking for instead of half a pound. So it was quite an adventure. Before I left, I wrote down everything I needed, even translated some of the words like nutmeg. Didn't know that was, I think it's Nuevo Moneda or Nuevo Moneda, so I had to write that one down. Turns out they don't really sell sweet potatoes at the grocery store next to me, so I had to make a last-minute sub-in for carrots. Pretty sure that it's going to taste pretty good anyway as a side dish. So it's just funny how things are completely different, and you run into these little challenges along the way. You don't expect it, but I actually went up to the woman when I was trying to fry breadcrumbs and told her it was bread, in Spanish obviously, pan. I told her it was pan, but in the form of the Parmesan cheese that I was holding because it was all shredded in crumbs. And she looks at me and she goes over to the roast beef. I'm like, that's not what I was asking for. I kept saying, pan, bread. So she took me to the bread section and she pointed to flour. I was thinking, okay, close, but I'm actually not trying to bake bread. So I held up my salmon fillet and showed her that I wanted to put the salmon into the bread and then put it into the oven, which I actually knew the word for, horno. And still, she says, okay, in the oven, so you want toast. So she takes me over to the bread that's been toasted, which they eat very, often here. Again, miss, but I said thank you, appreciate it. And as I kept looking along this shelf space, I managed to find breadcrumbs, which is actually what I was looking for. So I went back over to her and I said, I found it. And she looked over at me and was like, that's what you were looking for? I feel like by the end of this trip, I'm going to have nailed that catchphrase game where you just describe every single thing about a word without actually saying the word because, well, I don't know it. I seem to be getting pretty good at it, but as of tonight, I guess I wasn't that great. So in any case, shopping experience went well. I managed to get mostly everything I was looking for, and now on to the cooking. So stay tuned, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.